Australian officials are increasingly worried about China establishing a military presence in Solomon Islands after a leaked document revealed the two countries are negotiating a new security agreement. Key points: the documents say Chinese ships may make visits, carry out logistical replacement, and stopover in Solomon Islands. Chinese police officers were recently deployed to the islands to train local authorities. Australian officials are already uneasy about growing security cooperation between the two countries. A draft official document, which emerged on social media earlier today, lays down a framework which could permit Beijing to deploy forces to protect the safety of Chinese personnel and major projects in Solomon Islands. The agreement says Solomon Islands may request China to send police, armed police, military personnel, and other law enforcement and armed forces to the country. It also states that China's government may make ship visits to carry out logistical replenishment in and have stopover and transition in Solomon Islands. The ABC has verified the document is genuine. It is believed to have been recently drawn up, but not yet formally signed by both governments, although the ABC has not yet confirmed this. It was first published online by an advisor to the Malaysia Provincial Government Premier Daniel Swaidani, who has been a fierce critic of Solomon Islands' decision to break diplomatic ties with Taiwan and who has been pressing for independence for his province. Australian officials are already deeply uneasy about growing security cooperation between China and Solomon Islands. The prospect of a Chinese military presence right on Australia's doorstep will raise alarm in Canberra. A contingent of Chinese police officers was recently deployed to Solomon Islands to help train local authorities trying to maintain law and order following last year's anti-government riots. There has also been anxiety in Solomon Islands about a recent shipment of replica rifles brought in by the Chinese embassy for that training program. However, the prospect of a possible Chinese military presence in Solomon Islands, right on Australia's doorstep, will raise far deeper alarm in Canberra. Australia has long been the main security provider to Solomon Islands and is determined to retain its preeminence in that role. In November, the federal government deployed federal police and ADF personnel to Honiara to restore calm following a request for support from Solomon Islands Prime Minister Manasseh Sogavare. Australia is determined not to lose its place as the main security provider to Solomon Islands. Home Affairs Minister Karen Andrews said the Australian government would view any expansion of Chinese military activity in the Pacific as concerning. We will continue to support the Solomon Islands. We know the difficult circumstances that they are in, Ms. Andrews said. That is our backyard. This is our neighbourhood, and we are very concerned of any activity that is taking place in the Pacific Islands. Our Pacific Island friends know that we are there to support them. Solomon Islands opposition MP Peter Cannelloria Jr. has told the ABC he had heard late last year that a security agreement with China was being discussed. For me, the writing has been on the wall since the switch from Taiwan in 2019, Mr. Cannelloria told the ABC. Like many Solomon Islanders, I am deeply concerned with these developments on our shores. This has serious security implications for the Pacific Islands region, including Australia. The head of the National Security College in Canberra, Rory Medcalf, said the document was deeply troubling for Australia. This is news of serious security concern to Australia, New Zealand and our Pacific friends. An open door from Honiara for Chinese armed forces to operate in Solomon Islands, Professor Medcalf said. Since 2018, skeptical observers have been looking for public proof of China's alleged intent to establish a military presence in the South Pacific, an alarm first raised by Australian security agencies. This could begin to fill that gap. Anna Powells from Massey University said the agreement was ambiguous, ambitious, and if it comes into force, has significant and concerning implications for Solomon Islands, Australia, and the region. The agreement is notably vague on critical issues, such as the type of security personnel that could be deployed to Solomon Islands and the kind of tasks they could be performing, Dr. Powell said. The agreement also suggests that China is seeking logistical supply capabilities and material assets located in Solomon Islands to support ship visits. The conclusion that can be drawn here is that China may seek some kind of basing arrangement in Solomon Islands.